Okay, so again, if you're just joining us, my name is Vincent Montoya. I'm one of the Deans of Students at eCADEMY K-8. Our session today is our first Dragon Lair Cafe, and what we'd like to share with you is a helpful tool that can help you and your student keep track of the time they're spending on and off task at school, and also understand some of the functionalities of this tool as a classroom management tool for teachers to use to help keep students focused and actually communicate with students live during synchronous sessions. So two-way communication, as well as sending out information directly to students. So the program actually allows them to open up browsers on student devices. So the tool I'm talking about tonight is Goguardian. And Goguardian can be used by teachers, like I said, to help with classroom management. It can also be used by parents to monitor and limit student devices. Now, the limitations are only after school. So you could imagine there would be some conflict if a parent was limiting their students' use of YouTube during the day, and there were academic videos that students needed to watch on YouTube that because of their parents blocking, they wouldn't be able to. So the parent controls of Goguardian are only effective after school hours. And school hours defined in the Goguardian system run from 6:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening. So that means the parent Goguardian app can limit and restrict student activity on their APS device between the hours of 4:30 in the afternoon all the way until 6:30 the next day. So it's our hope that you find the tool useful for after school hour limiting and monitoring of student activity on an APS Chromebook or while logged into an APS Chrome account. So let's get started. I have said, I think up to this point, the Goguardian Parent App, and if I haven't, I've meant to, because that's how you're going to engage in Goguardian as a parent. You're going to want to download the application. There's one for iOS and Android, and I'm going to connect you here shortly on the screen to where you can find some links to go ahead and download that, as well as some instructions on how to download it. But before I get there, I want to make sure that you know that there's already a connection between the primary email account in our student information system and any students who you are connected to in that main account. So what I mean is, if you are a guardian that doesn't have an email in the student information systems, you're not going to be able to use the Parent View app. The Goguardian Parent app. So what you'll have to do is log into Parent View and go in and make sure that your email account is correct in that system. Goguardian Parent is going to reference that email in our student information system and see to which students it's connected in our system. And those are the only students that you will be able to monitor. So this is true of everyone else in your student. No one will be able to monitor your student except for your student's teachers and yourself, because your email is connected to them in the student information system. If you have any questions about that, please email me, montoya_v@aps.edu, or of course use the form that's in the description of this video to submit a question while I'm presenting. So let's see where we can get the app. So first you're going to need to go to eCADEMY K-8. That is our school's website. Hopefully you've been here many times before. And you're going to want to navigate over here to the Parents tab and scroll down right here to Resources and Digital Tools. Here's where we're going to post information on widely used digital tools used at eCADEMY K-8. And one of those tools, of course, is Goguardian. So here we're going to have to scroll down past Co-Writer and Snap and Read. Definitely read about those. Those are very helpful tools for all of our students. And here we find Goguardian. It's a little bit of information about Goguardian, but what we're looking for is this link right here. When you click on this link, it is going to go to a website that is created by our Educational Technology Department here at APS. And here you will find extensive information about Goguardian Parent. Here, a notation how it's compatible with both iOS and Android. Fairly old versions too. So if you have any kind of recent edition of an Apple device, it's most likely going to work, and Android as well. So here's the link for getting started with Goguardian Parent. Here's a video. We're not going to watch it here. Here's a video that you can watch about best practices. And then here's how you get started with the app, a video walkthrough of how to do that. And again, here's both of those links again. And then here is a quick card informational infographic that shows you how to get in. So just look in your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Search for Goguardian. Make sure that your email again is up to date in Parent View, because it is that email that will allow you to monitor your students and only your students. You're going to want to download the Goguardian app. You're going to input your email. It's just that simple. It's going to send you a verification email. Go ahead and click on that. Follow the steps in that email. Then you're going to have to agree to the Goguardian terms and conditions in order to use the app. They're very long. Go ahead and keep scrolling through the bottom, reading through them, of course, until you get to the bottom where you get the checkbox to agree to those conditions. And then after you agree to those conditions, you will be, let me zoom in a little bit, ready to start using the app. When you open the app, you will see a drop-down box, and if you have multiple students, you can click that drop-down box and select one of your several students. With that student selected, you can see the top websites that they've been to, their most recent activity. You can also adjust some settings that can limit what your student is able to access after school hours. So you can, if you are noticing that your student is on YouTube but not doing things academic after school hours, you can block YouTube. It will only be blocked during that time. You can also set connection limits. So if you want your student to just be disconnected from that APS device, let's say at 9 o'clock, then you can set the time limit to go ahead and turn that device off at 9 o'clock. So here's filtering websites. You can just add individual websites, and if you add the base URL, so like youtube.com, then it doesn't matter what comes after that. Anything at youtube.com will be blocked. Just know, a lot of students know workarounds to get around URL blocking. So be mindful. Really, best practices are, if you can, to have the device visible when your students are using it, especially after hours. If they have the device in their bedroom at night, you can do your best to limit as many websites as you can, but a determined student will try to find ways around that. At that point, definitely take a look at their activity, because that's something they won't be able to cloak. Set time limits again. You can schedule time limits on students' access, and so just 45 minutes or 2 hours, or you can just set it to turn off at a specific time. There are plenty of resources here on this website. That is just one. The quick card is just one. So there's plenty of videos here that will walk you through different steps. That's not really what this session is for. The session is to try to help give learning coaches some suggestions on how to best use this. So one great way is, well, probably the most seemingly intuitive way to use it is for student monitoring and accountability, right? You come home after work, or you escape your study after being in there doing work all day, and you ask your student, hey, how was school today? How was everything? And they said, it was great. I got a lot of work done. I was really connected to everything that was going on at school. I don't have anything else I need to do. I can go out and play video games because I'm done with school. Well, with the use of the Goguardian app, you can take a look at the activity of your student throughout the day and hold them accountable to the their account of what happened. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the time. There's a timestamp on the different websites when you look at your student's activity. So let's see if I can pull that up here. I know these are small thumbnails, but let's see what I can do here. Okay, so it's very difficult to see, and I'm sorry I don't have better screenshots for this. But when you see your student's activity, there will be a time stamp underneath it, maybe 23 minutes, maybe 14 seconds, whatever that timestamp may be. Please be mindful that that timestamp is not 100% accurate. So if it shows that your student was on Edgenuity and then it shows a timestamp of, like, let's say 6 seconds, what I've seen is that Goguardian isn't necessarily great about recording the time on specific websites. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but I've done some testing and it doesn't look very accurate. Instead, when you're here, look for URLs that seem reasonable for what your student is supposed to be doing throughout the day. If it seems reasonable, absolutely trust your student and encourage the on-task behavior. If it seems unreasonable, I recommend reaching out to the teacher and asking for an activity report from Edgenuity that will show actual engagement in the program and will be a bit more accurate than this. So consider this the canary in the coal mine, right? It's some information, but not enough necessarily to make strong decisions about, if your student is accurately reporting what they did throughout the day. But it's a good little window. It's enough information to say, hey, maybe I should ask some more questions. Maybe I should engage in a conversation with the teacher. Maybe I should ask my student to say, hey, wait a minute, why don't you take 10, 15 minutes to show me, which is always a great idea, 10, 15 minutes to show me really what activities did you complete? What did you learn? Did you have to write any summaries? Can you explain to me what your activities looked like throughout the day? And kind of regardless of what this report shows, that's a great conversation to have. Definitely keep an eye out for anything that is non-academic. Our teachers have enough time to get academic content out to families. And not much else. So if your student is throughout the day doing things that look non-academic, it is likely that they are off task. And if they're behind in their Edgenuity or schoolwork, it's probably not best that they're off task during the school day. Now, of course, if your household is structured different and your student is very active in the evening and has maybe other things they need to handle throughout the day, that's a great conversation for you and your student to have about what these reports should look like throughout the day. So every case is unique. The app is just going to give you the data that it has. All right, top 5 websites, activities throughout the day. You can also see if the teacher had, in the activity tab, you can see if the teacher had to take any actions during class time to restrict your student. So that takes us to our next piece. Goguardian is not just a passive monitoring application. And what I mean by that is that it is not just running in the background, being a big brother, tracking what your students are doing. It is, but that's not all it's doing. Goguardian has a totally, I want to say separate but concurrent piece that works along with this monitoring that allows teachers to create classrooms and sessions during the day especially when they're having an asynchronous meeting, when they can look at what students have on their screens, engage students in conversations about the work they're completing live because this teacher can see the screen, and also be able to pull up the screen and show the rest of the class via Google Meet what that student has found, concluded, created, produced on their screen without having to go through a long rigmarole of having the student share their screen in Google Meet. It's very quick, it's very easy. The teacher's engaged in what students are doing. They can make live comments as they watch your student work on their device. Of course, the teacher only has access to the screen, that's on the student, so they can't turn on the webcam or anything weird like that. They're just seeing what the student is doing actually on the screen of the student's device. Now, in those moments, a teacher may not see something that is exciting and productive that they want to bring to the class's attention. Instead, they see something that is off task and maybe distracting. And what the teacher can do with Goguardian is go ahead and select that student and close that tab for the student. So a teacher that's using Goguardian in the classroom can pop that student right open, can send them a message, so they aren't embarrassing them in front of the whole class. No one else will see what's on the student's screen, only the teacher. And the teacher can send them a message and say, hey, we'll just use my name. Hey, Vincent, I noticed you're on a website that looks a little distracting. Can you please go ahead and close that for me? And most students will be, yeah, no, sure, Mr. Montoya, no problem. I'll close that out. Sorry about that. Every once in a while, a teacher may have to take a little bit more strong of an action and select the student and close the tab. The teacher can even limit the number of tabs a student has available to open. So they can allow for 2 tabs to be open, and that student can have Google Classroom open or Edgenuity open and then a research tab open. But if they try to open up another tab to start up a chat conversation with their friends or watch a recording of a TV show on YouTube or something like that, something that's not class related, when they try to open up that extra tab, because of Goguardian and the engagement of the teacher, they won't be able to. They'll click on the button, it'll say, I'm sorry, your teacher has limited the number of tabs that you have available. Now, as a learning coach, it's important to note that this is a function of Goguardian, because if you're sitting working with your student and that 3rd tab is not going to be a distraction, but instead is going to be a needed additional source of information. Let's say you're doing a little bit of research for a paper, or you want to share some of your knowledge with the student. Say, hey, look this up. This might help you answer the teacher's the question that you have in class. And the student opens up that tab and it says that it's limited by Goguardian. As a learning coach, it's good to know that you just need to reach out to the teacher and say, hey, Mr. Montoya, I know you've got a limit of 2 tabs today on the class. However, it would be really helpful for us to have that 3rd tab open. Can you adjust that for Vincent so that we can make sure to get his work done? And having that communication with the teacher hopefully will allow them the opportunity to go ahead and remove that restriction for you. So just know that Goguardian can be used by the teacher to create limits on what students access. Hold on, let me check and see if anyone submitted a question. I don't see any questions. Let me refresh just to make sure. Awesome. So what else can the teacher do? So the teacher will also, as they're looking at students' work and not really monitoring, but most of the time teachers, I don't want Goguardian to come off as just this Big Brother monitoring tool. That's not really what it's about. Goguardian is a live connection, it can be used as a live connection channel to the work that your students are doing. So in a brick and mortar classroom, effective teachers are walking through the classroom, taking a look at what students are doing, encouraging them to rethink processes that might be off track or to pursue processes that are on track. And they're doing that by observing student work and listening to student conversations. So in this online environment, Goguardian allows us to do that. So it allows us to see student screens, and as they're working and as they're navigating whatever activity it is that they've been assigned, it allows the teacher to observe student behaviors, intervene when intervention is necessary in both a redirective nature or an encouraging nature. So in those moments is when a lot of magic can happen. But it is also going to afford us the opportunity to see students' behaviors that may be very off task. And those off task behaviors are going to be handled by the teacher at their best efforts in that moment. but sometimes they may be referred out to the deans of students, and we may have to contact you and talk about your students' history. Just know that nobody is looking to get students in to have to intervene with students in a negative way. Teachers aren't looking to do that. We are going to make every effort to contact the student, have a conversation with them about their behavior, encourage them to discontinue the off-task behavior and stay on task. Little moves like closing tabs, things of that nature, are things that teachers are going to do well before they ever have to refer it out to a dean. So please understand that if you're getting contacted by a dean for student behavior online because of activity, it's most likely because it's going to be a serious conversation. Now, this does leave students open to having a sense of privacy because they feel like, hey, I'm at home, I'm in my kitchen, what I'm doing with the device is really my deal, right? And we need to communicate, well, and when I say we, I mean us as a staff and you as a learning coach should kind of join together in our communications with students that the use of these APS devices connects them to the APS systems and requires them to behave according to APS guidelines. We are definitely, and we don't have the ability to, we're definitely not going to monitor students' behaviors on devices that don't belong to APS. There is one caveat to that. If a student is using a personal device, a home desktop or home laptop, and they sign in to their APS Chrome browser, that environment, because it accesses their APS account, Goguardian automatically loads and automatically monitors that browser. Nothing else on the desktop, nothing else on the laptop, only that browser. And students should know that that browser can and is being monitored. So when they're signed in, their activity, they will be accountable for the activity. I bring this up now, especially because some students who might be using a personal device may unknowingly leave themselves signed in that Chrome browser for someone else in the household to use. Now, accidentally, the additional person in the household gets onto that device and begins using the student's account, and whatever they do during that session is being logged and monitored. So it's really important, if you're using personal devices, to teach your students how to sign out of their Chrome browser. Here's how they're going to do it. Now again, if they're on an APS device, the way to sign out is just to sign out of the device. APS Chromebooks can only be signed in by APS accounts, so there's no worries there, unless the student leaves it signed in for someone else to use, and that really should not happen. That is against acceptable use, okay? So if a student does have a Chromebook, please don't use it for anything other than schoolwork, and understand that any activity on that device will be monitored by APS. So to sign out of Chrome on a personal laptop, you're going to want to click on this smaller icon. If I were in Google, I would have another profile picture right here. And at home, that doesn't sign you out of the browser. You're going to want to click on the smaller one here. Click here. Then come to Settings. Oops. Here's my account. I click here and I say remove this person. All right, and you can remove yourself out of that account. You can remove your APS account from the browser that's installed on your personal device. All right, so that's how you would remove yourself, again, from a personal device. If you're using a Chromebook, just know that when you're signed in, you are automatically signed into your Chrome browser. Now, as far as iPads go, unfortunately, Goguardian does not have a component that monitors student activities on iPads. So if you are concerned about your student's activity on an iPad, please reach out to me at montoya_v@aps.edu, and I will work with our service desk to find a viable solution for you. Okay? So that is Goguardian Parent. truly, I hope if you have any questions, that you don't hesitate to send them to me via email. And hopefully this session maybe answered some questions for you. A real quick revisit: in order to find all this information about Goguardian, please start by going to our website at eCADEMY.aps.edu, navigating over to Parents. Once it finishes loading. Oh, by the way, we have a Twitter account now. Parents, scrolling down to Resources, Digital Tools, selecting that, scrolling down just a bit here to Goguardian. So with that, and taking a look at our Dragon Lair Cafe questions, we don't have any right now. I'm not too surprised, considering this is our very first Dragon Lair live stream. Let's see, I'm not even really sure how to check right now to see if anyone's watching. So with this, I just want to thank any of you who did come, and encourage you, if you have any questions. Well, I am going to go ahead and discontinue this live stream here in a minute. I am going to be available to answer any questions immediately via email if you have one for the next half hour. I committed to being available till 7 o'clock tonight. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate. My name is Vincent Montoya. I am one of the Deans of Students here at eCADEMY K-8. I hope your year is going well, and again, hope you found this session helpful. I have one possible bit. Nope. Looks like we're good. Great. I hope you have a great evening, and looking forward to reaching out again, and keep an eye out on our website for our next Dragon Lair Cafe. Thank you.